Beloved seeker, as you open your mind and heart to the infinite potential of prosperity, understand that wealth is not merely a collection of material assets, nor is it a reflection of external circumstances, but it is a natural state of alignment between your consciousness and the abundance that permeates the universe. And when you begin to recognize this truth deeply, every thought you hold about money, every belief you nurture about financial growth, every intention you set toward creating security and opportunity becomes a powerful magnet, attracting resources, opportunities, and ideas into your life. For the universe responds not to desire alone, but to clarity of vision, certainty of purpose, and consistency of action. And as you align with this principle, you notice that your perception of scarcity and limitation begins to dissolve, replaced by the realization that wealth is abundant, omnipresent, and accessible to you the moment you claim it as your natural right. And in claiming this right, you do not merely seek accumulation, but the harmonious flow of value, exchange, and contribution. Understanding that money is energy, energy is consciousness, and consciousness flows to match your vibration, your focus, and your readiness to receive. And as this understanding deepens, you begin to perceive that the resistance you experienced in the past, the delays, the frustrations, the missed opportunities, were not punishments, but lessons. Calibrations designed to refine your awareness, sharpen your intentions, and strengthen your patience. For the true wealth is not in the amount you hold, but in the consciousness with which you create, manage, and expand it. And now, beloved seeker, as you practice this alignment daily, you begin to feel the flow of abundance in subtle ways. Sudden ideas for increasing your income, unexpected opportunities, moments of clarity in financial decisions, increased efficiency in your work, improved relationships that support your growth, and the steady manifestation of material prosperity in your life. And you recognize that wealth is not a zero-sum game, that your growth does not diminish another, that the more you embody generosity, gratitude, and integrity, the more the flow increases, the more the universe conspires in your favor, and you begin to live in a state where financial confidence is natural, decision-making is empowered, investments are intuitive, and every action is supported by alignment with abundance consciousness. And as this becomes habitual, you no longer feel fear or anxiety around money, you no longer procrastinate opportunities, you no longer compare yourself to others, for you understand that your financial journey is unique, divinely orchestrated, and precisely timed to match your readiness. And in this understanding, you release all tension, all doubts, all scarcity-based thinking, replacing it with trust, focus, and inspired action. And as this process continues, you find that wealth manifests in multiple dimensions: income, investments, assets, relationships, knowledge, creativity, and spiritual prosperity, each reinforcing the other, each contributing to a life of balance, freedom, and joy. And as you integrate these principles, you feel a deepening sense of gratitude for every resource, every experience, every lesson, recognizing that even challenges are opportunities to expand, that even setbacks are redirections toward higher possibilities, and that abundance is not merely what you collect, but what you embody, radiate, and contribute. And as you walk this path consistently, you notice your environment, your decisions, your energy, and your results all harmonizing with the frequency of wealth. Your confidence increasing, your influence expanding, your capacity to give and receive multiplying. And you understand that the universe is not withholding anything from you, that the flow has always been available, waiting for you to awaken to your own power, your own authority, your own alignment. And now, as you claim this truth fully, you move forward with courage, clarity, and consistent action, knowing that every financial decision, every investment, every effort, every relationship is part of a larger, divinely orchestrated plan designed to bring you into complete alignment with prosperity, freedom, and abundance. And in living this truth, you experience wealth not as a goal, but as a natural state, as an effortless expression of consciousness in harmony with the universal flow, a flow that multiplies, amplifies, and returns to you in ever-expanding cycles, supporting your growth, enhancing your life, and empowering you to live fully, freely, and generously. And this, beloved seeker, is the first phase of awakening to wealth consciousness. The first step in understanding money not as a commodity, but as a divine energy, as a tool for creation, as a reflection of your inner alignment with abundance. And as you continue this practice with discipline, focus, and gratitude, you are guided, supported, and continuously inspired by the universe to reach higher levels of financial, personal, and spiritual prosperity. As you continue this journey into the understanding of wealth, beloved seeker, realize that money is not simply a tool, but a reflection of your inner alignment. That every limiting belief you have held about scarcity, lack, or undeservedness has shaped your reality. And as you begin to release these beliefs consciously, you allow the natural flow of abundance to enter your life effortlessly, for the universe responds to clarity of intention, purity of desire, and steadfast commitment to personal growth. And in this space, every opportunity, every idea, every resource that aligns with your highest purpose begins to gravitate toward you, not because of luck, but because you have become a vibrational match to what you seek. And in becoming this match, you notice a subtle shift. Previously unnoticed possibilities become visible. Previously challenging decisions become intuitive. Previously distant goals begin to manifest with ease, and you begin to understand that wealth is not a destination, but a state of consciousness, a consistent awareness of abundance, a recognition that resources, ideas, and opportunities are infinite, and that your capacity to receive is only limited by the clarity of your vision and the alignment of your actions. And as this awareness deepens, you begin to act from a place of empowerment rather than desperation, from strategy rather than reaction, from insight rather than impulse. And in doing so, you attract not only financial resources, but also wisdom, guidance, and connections that amplify your capacity to create, to grow, and to sustain prosperity. And this amplification is not linear, but exponential. For energy compounds, intentions multiply, and aligned actions ripple across your life in ways that create acceleration, synergy, and harmony. And as you practice this consistently, you find that fear, doubt, and hesitation no longer dictate your choices, that patience, discipline, and focus become your allies, that gratitude, generosity, and integrity become your signature, and that wealth becomes not only measurable in numbers but also in freedom, joy, creativity, influence, and impact. And in this multidimensional experience of prosperity, you realize that every challenge you faced previously was not a barrier, but a calibration, a necessary refinement to prepare you to receive at a higher level, to think at a larger scale, to operate with greater confidence, and to appreciate the richness of life fully. And as this understanding unfolds further, you begin to recognize that abundance is a living system, a flowing current, a rhythm that responds to your presence, your energy, and your intent, and that your role is not to force or chase, but to align, to trust, and to act consciously, knowing that every step you take in awareness strengthens the flow, expands your influence, and compounds the returns, both material and non-material. And as you integrate this principle, you notice that wealth is mirrored in your relationships, your health, your creativity, your learning, and your contribution. That every dimension of life becomes enriched as your consciousness expands. That your ability to give, to mentor, to inspire, to lead, and to create multiplies, and that the world begins to reflect back the abundance you cultivate within, reinforcing the understanding that true wealth is not transactional, but transformational, that the external manifestation is simply a reflection of your internal state. And as you move forward in this empowered consciousness, you act with deliberate intention, make strategic decisions, nurture meaningful connections, invest in yourself wisely, and consistently apply your skills, knowledge, and energy toward outcomes that resonate with your highest good. And in doing so, you awaken to the realization that prosperity is not a finite goal, but an infinite journey, a continuum of growth, alignment, and impact, where every day, every moment, every choice, every thought contributes to the expansion of your life, your legacy, and your influence. And as you embrace this journey fully, you recognize that your capacity to receive, create, and multiply wealth is limitless, bounded only by the scope of your vision, the clarity of your focus, and the depth of your belief in your own potential. And now, beloved seeker, as you step into this consciousness of abundance, you do so with confidence, awareness, gratitude, and purpose, knowing that the flow of money, resources, opportunities, and influence is constant, responsive, and entirely aligned with the divine intelligence that orchestrates every facet of your life, and that by living in alignment with these principles daily, you are co-creating a life of unprecedented prosperity, freedom, fulfillment, and joy that continuously expands in all directions. Now, as you focus on creating wealth, understand that money is not something you chase outside yourself. It is an energy that responds to your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. And when you think clearly, act intentionally, and believe that abundance is your natural right, the universe begins to flow toward you, bringing opportunities, resources, and ideas in ways you may not have expected. And this flow is constant, responsive, and proportional to the level of your alignment. So every time you choose patience over panic, clarity over confusion, action over procrastination, and gratitude over complaint, you increase your capacity to receive and multiply wealth in all forms. For true prosperity is not only measured by dollars, coins, or assets, but by freedom, choice, influence, and the ability to live fully according to your values. And as you practice this daily, you notice patterns in your life where money, opportunities, and success appear more naturally, where decisions that were once hard become intuitive, where the people and situations you need show up at the right time, and where obstacles transform into lessons that guide your growth rather than block it. And as you integrate these principles, you also understand that wealth is connected to your energy, your mindset, and your focus, that scarcity only exists when your mind believes in it, that fear about money reduces your ability to act, and that confidence, persistence, and clarity are the real sources of abundance. And in every choice, every action, every effort, and every thought, you're either building or blocking your financial flow. So focus, align, and act with integrity, knowing that money is a reflection of your inner state, that giving and receiving are the same energy, and that when you share, contribute, and serve, the universe returns to you multiplied, and this cycle of giving and receiving increases your wealth in ways beyond simple numbers, including relationships, opportunities, knowledge, and experience. And as you live in this consciousness, you feel freedom instead of fear, you feel joy instead of stress, you feel power instead of limitation, you take action without hesitation, make decisions with clarity, invest in yourself and others wisely, and notice that the world supports you when you are aligned, consistent, and committed to your growth. And as this awareness grows, every setback becomes temporary, every challenge becomes training, and every moment becomes a chance to expand your capacity to create and receive. And soon you realize that the universe has never stopped supporting you, that resources are endless, that wealth is infinite, and that your focus, discipline, and belief are the only things required to open the doors fully. And as you continue this practice, you embody abundance, confidence, and clarity in every interaction, every decision, and every step, attracting opportunities and resources effortlessly, multiplying what you already have, creating freedom, comfort, and joy, and stepping into a life where money and wealth are natural expressions of your aligned thoughts, actions, and intentions, flowing continuously, increasing daily, and reflecting the fullness of your potential in every aspect of your life. And now, beloved seeker, as you keep acting with focus, integrity, and gratitude, wealth is no longer something distant or uncertain. It becomes a living part of your daily experience, a mirror of your mindset, a reflection of your alignment, and a reward of your disciplined and conscious effort, allowing you to live fully, freely, and abundantly in every area of your life. As you continue this path of wealth consciousness, recognize that true financial abundance begins with clarity of mind and focus of intention, that every decision you make, every action you take, every thought you nurture about money, value, and prosperity contributes directly to the creation of your reality. And as you cultivate this awareness, you will notice that opportunities begin to appear where previously there were none, that connections with supportive people emerge naturally, that ideas for increasing your income, expanding your business, and multiplying resources arrive intuitively, and that timing, previously uncertain, now feels synchronized with your purpose. And in this synchronization, you understand that patience, persistence, and disciplined action are as important as strategy, vision, and creativity, and that wealth is a reflection of the energy you maintain in your daily life, the habits you develop, the mindset you hold, and the values you honor. And as you take responsibility for aligning all aspects of your life with abundance, you notice your confidence rising, your clarity expanding, your influence growing, and your ability to receive increasing, and you realize that scarcity, limitation, and delay exist only when your focus is scattered, your beliefs are weak, and your actions are inconsistent. And so you commit to a new level of conscious creation, where every effort, every thought, every word, and every choice serves the purpose of expanding your financial, personal, and spiritual wealth simultaneously. And as you live this way, you see that money becomes not just a resource, but a tool for growth, a reflection of your alignment, and a mechanism for contributing to others, creating value, and supporting your highest vision. And in practicing generosity, integrity, and gratitude, you amplify your capacity to receive even more, because the universe always mirrors the energy you give out. And as this cycle continues, your life begins to flow effortlessly with opportunities, rewards, and experiences that support your vision, and you feel empowered to take risks confidently, act decisively, and create without fear, knowing that every setback is temporary, every obstacle is a lesson, and every challenge is an invitation to expand your wisdom and resilience. And in this empowered state, wealth becomes multidimensional, not just limited to material gain, but extending to relationships, knowledge, creativity, freedom, influence, and fulfillment. And as you embrace this comprehensive understanding, you act with clarity, consistency, and courage, making each moment a building block of long-term abundance while maintaining gratitude, joy, and presence. And as this practice becomes habitual, you notice that life no longer feels like a struggle, that financial stress diminishes, that your decisions become aligned with your highest good, and that wealth is no longer pursued externally, but received naturally, continuously, and effortlessly, flowing from the universe, amplified by your alignment, and reflecting the true potential of your mind, heart, and spirit. And as you step fully into this consciousness, you realize that money and wealth are not external goals to chase, but reflections of your inner state, manifestations of your clarity, confidence, and integrity, and that by holding this awareness consistently, taking inspired action daily, and maintaining focus, discipline, and gratitude, you are creating a life of unlimited abundance, freedom, influence, and fulfillment in all areas of your existence, living fully aligned with the universal flow, empowered by your own conscious choices, and manifesting a reality that mirrors the richness, expansion, and prosperity of your own consciousness. As you deepen your journey into the consciousness of wealth, beloved seeker, recognize that every thought you entertain, every belief you hold, every action you take, and every intention you set regarding money, abundance, and opportunity directly contributes to the architecture of your financial reality. For wealth is not an external phenomenon to be pursued blindly, nor is it a product of luck or chance, but rather a reflection of your inner alignment, focus, and conscious understanding of the universal principles that govern energy, value, and exchange. And as you integrate this awareness, you notice subtle shifts in your perception, where scarcity begins to dissolve, limitation becomes irrelevant, and possibilities that were once hidden or seemingly unattainable now emerge naturally and predictably, flowing into your life in ways that feel effortless, intuitive, and timely. And as this process continues, you begin to understand that your relationship with money is a mirror of your self-worth, your confidence, your clarity, and your capacity to create. And that as you strengthen these internal qualities, the external manifestations follow with proportional magnitude, so that opportunities for income, investment, creative ventures, partnerships, and innovation appear in alignment with your readiness and focus. And in this state, you learn that consistent action, disciplined thought, and unwavering belief are essential components of wealth creation, because the universe responds not merely to desire, but to intention backed by clarity, persistence, and integrity. And as you practice this daily, you notice a compounding effect. Your ideas become more precise, your decisions become more effective, your influence grows exponentially, and your capacity to give, receive, and multiply resources increases beyond prior limitations. And as you embrace this understanding fully, you perceive that wealth is multidimensional, extending beyond material accumulation to include time, freedom, influence, creativity, knowledge, learning, personal growth, health, relationships, and spiritual alignment. And each of these dimensions reinforces the others, creating a holistic ecosystem of abundance that continuously supports your expansion. And in living with this awareness, you no longer measure success solely in numbers, possessions, or monetary assets, but in the richness, depth, and quality of your experiences, the impact of your actions, the growth of your potential, and the freedom to express your higher self without restriction. And as this becomes